On this episode of RVA Real Estate Talk, we talk COVID, what's changed over the past 10 months, and what's really stayed the same.
You're listening to RVA Real Estate Talk with Jared Davis and Galen Parker, your source for an honest, insightful look into Central Virginia's real estate market. Combined, Jared and Galen have over 20 years sales experience, as well as hundreds of testimonials from clients past and present who rely on them for advice and assistance when buying and selling homes in today's incredibly hot and competitive real estate market. And now, your hosts, Jared Davis and Galen Parker.
I'm Jared Davis.
And I'm still Galen Parker.
Can I do the I'm still Jared Davis next time?
That's my thing. You want to be Galen Parker? I'll do like I'm still Jared Davis.
No, I need something. I feel like I need something.
And as always, I'm Jared Davis. That sounds pretty good. I like that.
I like it.
What are you up to, man?
Man, finishing out the year. I don't know when this podcast will go live, but right now
March
we're sitting at
2022. By the time we get around to posting it.
We'll be vaccinated by the time we deep dive this.
We'll be dead because we took the vaccination.
It'll be next week sometime.
No, I mean, we've just been trying to close out the year. I mean, we've done over 120 deals now for the year, something like that. Trying to sell. Galen's
Sorry, I just received
it.
the funniest text message I've ever seen. It's about real estate. Someone says, I'm also thinking I will most likely need a break from my family Thursday. Is it rude to schedule a showing on that day to get so I have a break from them? That's awesome.
Is anyone going to show their house on Thanksgiving?
Listen.
No one's going to show their house on Thanksgiving.
If this comes out before Thanksgiving and you want to see a house, I mean, man.
Yeah, I do that with Christmas. It's Chinese restaurants and me making money on Christmas Day. It's the only thing that's open.
You want to go out?
People are trying to schedule me for Friday.
Black Friday. You got to give them a discount because it's Black Friday.
Friday is not a holiday.
No, I know that. But
I'm offering Black Friday deals
If I was traveling and planning to be out of town.
If you listen to CDC, they know you're not traveling.
They know you're not.
They know you're home.
You got a baby. You ain't
Mike's
going
like, I'm flying out of the country. And they're like, no, you're not.
Newborn?
And they're like,
with a newborn?
Yeah, that's your plan? No, you're not.
Your wife's a medical professional. You're going out with a newborn? Okay, cool.
Yeah, we know that's not happening.
Some of the other day, someone's like, hey, what have you been up to? And I was like, the same thing I'm always up to. I'm showing houses.
Yeah.
I've showed more houses in the past 2 weeks than I feel like I've ever shown.
And yet,
I'm finally feeling tired.
Are you annoyed that people aren't writing offers, or are they writing and losing?
We've lost some. There's been a couple who they saw like 80 things and they didn't want to offer anything. So that little piece of my soul died on that one.
Are people getting unreasonable in this market at this point?
I think we're closing the gap between reasonable and non-reasonable. I think some buyers are like, oh, wait a minute, there's 50 of us trying to bid on the same house, so maybe I shouldn't try to like lowball everyone and ask for them. Like, yeah, so I think we're over that hurdle.
Yeah,
we're good there.
Do your buyers want every repair done because they feel like they're paying $30,000 over ask, or are they?
No, I think they've kind of like I try to prep my people ahead of time so it's not like a shock and just say, hey, this is what I'm seeing, so make your decisions.
One of our agents is texting me right now, literally to say my clients want everything done on the report, and the sellers want to do nothing on the report.
Ooh, nice.
So you're like, great. That sounds like everybody's being reasonable.
Yeah, I know. It's like, oh, this was like, is yours an as-is home? No, you just
that's what I asked.
I
said, is it as? Well, at first, it sounded like our people were being really unreasonable because they were like, well, they want stuff that's like not defects. Like, yeah, you got to squash that.
Yeah,
I'm like, just put it in and apologize. And she's like, we did, and they said they're not doing any of it, not even the defects. So now you have the other side that's like,
I will do nothing.
Yeah, it's like sellers are like, someone else wants my house. I don't need to help you out. And then buyers are like, I'm paying $1 million for this, so you better fix it all. I want you to rebuild it for me.
And your agent's got to just talk it through and just try to, like, you almost have to go to the other agent and be like, listen, let's have a chit chat. You work in your people, I work in my people. Let's get them close to the table.
2020 pro tip: don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
Like, can we all just be reasonable? If people were just reasonable, everything would close out.
Reasonable.
Be nice.
Nothing's better than when you have a deal and you're like, all right, so this is what the people want. And your client's like, yeah, we want them to be happy. And then you like reciprocate on the other end.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we want them to love the house. We're happy they're getting it and everything else.
Since you did that for me, I'm going to do this for you.
Yeah.
I feel like that's normal.
The problem is the opposite. It's like, since you didn't do this for me, you best believe I'm not doing any of that for you.
Isn't it?
It's like the movie The Warriors from like the 70s now. It's just like, everyone's like factions and one's like, man, everyone chill out.
Isn't the realtor's job to kind of just like their client to kind of coach them on what's reality in some
In theory.
regards.
In theory, but then you get people that even if they have a realtor, they don't want to listen to the realtor.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I get that.
they think like you're like, yeah, you can't ask for defects, and they're like, yeah, but I really do want this room to be the color that I want it to be at closing. And you're like, yeah, but you saw what color it was when we walked.
It was
through.
gray when we got here.
Right.
You know that, right?
And it's just everybody's gotten unreasonable in the times they live in. Everybody's stressed, I think.
Have you ever thought, I was thinking about this the other night, that as extroverts, this is a really funny job that we have.
Yeah,
Like
go
real
ahead.
estate.
Yeah.
Just like, sometimes like.
You're not an introvert?
No,
I thought I was an introvert, right? Am I? No, I'm just
No.
kidding. None of us.
I don't know what these words mean. As an extrovert, I think like someone's like, "What did you do today?" And I was like, "Well, I met a total stranger in a vacant house where there was no one watching, and I tried to get them to like me." And I was like, basically, that's kind of like my everyday. It's like, "Hey, person I don't know, let's meet at this abandoned building."
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, no one wants to meet at your office anymore.
promise not to murder me, and I promise not to murder you. That's the agreement I feel like we're making.
But in reality, if someone on the team was going to get murdered in a vacant house, you're
Right.
probably pretty low on that
You're
list
not
of
murdering me.
probability. Yeah.
Every time
You're not murdering me.
Galen's the last on the list of our 12 agents.
2 men enter, 1 man exit.
Every time I go to a listing that it's like deep in Powhatan or Amelia or whatever, I'm like, I'm not coming back. I know it.
I'm not likely to get murdered, but I am likely to the most likely in our team to pleasantly walk into a building and then exit the building like 500 police officers and 9 shots. I'm like, whoa!
That's happened to me before. Because
Welcome to Cumberland.
Yeah, Cumberland.
I showed some Cumberland stuff like last year, and I was like, I gotta get out of here.
That's out there.
It is out there.
There should be like trip charges as realtors.
It's kind of weird.
A trip charge? Yeah, like a distance charge.
It's weird that's happened to me several, more than 3 times in the past month. Going to someone's house, getting the lockbox open, just facial ID, scan, Skynet, all that stuff. Go to touch the door, and the door just opens. Not even locked.
Oh yeah, that's daily almost.
That was
that
on
is
one of my houses
crazy to me.
yesterday. That was literally
I was like, doo-doo-doo. I was like, this can't be a good idea.
my house. My back door was open yesterday.
Which one?
One of my flips in Lakeside that I won't give the address to, since apparently they're just leaving it open. But the back door was just
I
open.
know the address. Just DM me if you want the address.
I mean, we'd cut part of the roof off, so maybe they figured like, oh, they can just crawl in through the top of the house. But the door was just open.
That concerns me to a great degree. And each time I reached out to the listing agent after, I'm like, hey, just heads up, and they were like, oh, okay. And, no one had a search and entry. They're like, nah, no urgency. They're like, yeah, hey, thanks, appreciate it. I'm like, okay, well, guess I'll just
Or the keys. I love. No one reads instructions to the point where I even started
Guilty.
writing down instructions, and I put them in the lockbox. So it's like a little treasure note when you go to get the key out. And I literally had an agent the other day. It was in the MLS, but I was like, they're not looking at MLS when they get here. They're going to pull it up when they get in the house or whatever they do. And so I'm like, note in there, do not lock, bottom lock.
That's smart.
You know what I mean? The note's
Sure.
in there. And then they are like, there's no key in here. And I'm like, yeah, there's a note that tells you the code on the door.
Oh,
tells
I
you
know what house
everything.
you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? Well, I locked the bottom and I don't have the code. I'm like, look at the note. And then he opens it and he's like, oh yeah, it does say that. I'm like, what? Why not just? What are you doing,
I am guilty.
realtors?
2 things happened. So, one, I sent you the picture of the house I went to where it was a seek and find how to get enter. There was a weird lockbox mounted on the thing.
I was
and
like
then
that
there was,
non-MLS agent.
It was and it was scan the property using this, and then once you do that, call a man named Jim, and then give him the code. I mean, I sent you a picture, and you were just like, "What in the world?" I was like, "Cause I was like, no one's gonna understand what I'm seeing if I don't take this picture and send it out." I was like, "This is how you're supposed to get entry into the house." So then,
I had one the other day that actually used the 1-day code. So, they couldn't be from our MLS because we don't use 1-day codes on our central locks.
Right.
But it was just just dial this 20-digit code, and I dialed it, and then it opened up without the app or anything.
Well, for vendors, it's pretty much you have a time lot, and
Yeah, that's how we do it here because they don't let the 1 days. But what's funny is that the amount of realtors in MLS that still don't realize we don't do 1 days. I get no less than 3 realtors a month that are like, well, just give me the 1-day code. We could make this easy. I'm like, no, we don't do 1-day codes here. And he's like, there's numbers on the box. Just the numbers are there. And I'm like, no, have you ever done it? It literally says we don't do that here.
it's we can't do that. But yeah, and then what was the other? Oh, yesterday. I went to, and this was Sunday. I went to this house off Fitzhugh Avenue.
Yeah.
Super cool house, but in front where the property is, it's basically a moat. There's like a big thing, and there's like a bridge that you walk across. And I was like, man, this is kind of odd. Your GPS bridge. So we got out, we walked across like the little metal bridge and stuff. And like right when I open it up, it's like, please enter through the back. And I was like, oh, right. Yeah, I didn't see that. And my client was like laughing. She was like, I actually like the mode. I'm like, well, you get both sides. But reading is not realtors and most people's strong suit. Everyone likes to kind of just wing it.
That or you always feel like you're on the scavenger hunt to find the boxes when they like hide them.
Yeah.
You're just like on a search. You just have to go make like 4 laps of
the
house.
note says like connected to side porch. They didn't mean like, oh, it's the neighbor's side porch 2 doors down.
Well, the city's like that. You
Like,
go to the
what?
city and all the condos have like 19 lock boxes scattered around buildings, and you're like, oh,
They're
we're
like,
just gonna keep opening them.
Figure it out.
Open
So,
all of them.
we did. What else is new? Oh, we did the smoke trees done. You're happy about that?
It's under contract.
I
first
had-
weekend.
That was probably my favorite. Yeah, that's probably my most favorite open house that I've done. It was like old home week for me. Because like I went to the high school across the street, and so a lot of like friends came out, and they all had like kids, and they were just like, hey, and I was like doing that, and you and I talked about this. Open houses is a lot like stand-up comedy to me.
Okay.
You've got to present like material for that 2 hours because you're meeting like different people, and you got to have like immediately you got to have like some sort of rapport. If you don't, you're just like a guy
Please like
standing
me.
in. Yeah, you're just a guy
Please don't
standing in a
sing-
house.
Yeah, don't stalk me while I walk around this house.
No, it's like, so
otherwise.
ask you got any questions? No, I'm usually like telling stories. Like I was like amassing like a group, like violating COVID guidelines because I'm like, all right, everyone stand 6 feet because we're just like telling stories about like the neighborhood and stuff like that. And I was like, I meant to say, I was like, I need to talk to Jared about that. We need to like write out like comedy skits,
Like a routine.
of what we're doing. It's like, hey, I'm Galen Parker. I'll be here
Do you
for the
do
next
the
2
same
hours.
routine for each listing open house, or you have to change it
No,
up?
I change everything out. Everything, like, I always want to have a connection to the neighborhood, the area, or the house. Every open house I do. Because you want to speak more than just like, it's got 1,400 square feet, it's got 4 bathrooms. It's like all this stuff they could read. But people respond to, like, a human.
Yeah.
Like Jared had a guy on the phone a couple weeks ago, and he said, just talk to me like I'm a regular human. And I laughed, but I thought about that so much because it's like so many people are just like, hey, how you doing? My name's Galen. They're like, yeah, it's got 1,400 square feet. It's got 2 bathrooms. And it's like, they just like, it was built in 1993. It's the original owner. I'm like, okay, would you live here? Oh, it's a wonderful house. It's got 1,400 square feet. And it's just like, man, you got to like connect with people. And so I feel like when I'm in like...
that guy was great. We like talked about video games when I went out to his house after that and all that. And he was like, see, normal person. I was like, well, I don't know what I would have done.
That's what I was wondering. That was my other thing. I was like, what was he expecting?
But then again, people are just weird in general.
There
So
you
then,
go.
like, you meet with somebody and it's like a sales pitch, and this guy's like, I'm not gonna come out as a used car salesman. I'm just like, I'm gonna hang out. If you like hanging out with me, then we're gonna do a deal for 30 days together.
Yeah.
And if I don't want to hang out with you, then I'm gonna make it quite abundant that I don't want to deal with you for 30 days, and you can do the same. And you can just let me know, like, I'm
It's
not
like,
into
we're
you.
done. You said the
it's like
other
a first
day-
date. It's like speed dating.
You said the other day, you and I were talking about like new agents coming onto the team and like doing open houses. And you're like, I dazzle at open houses. And I thought I was like, I dazzle at open houses too. I like, and I was thinking about that whole time. We were like, when the door came open, I was like, hey, what's going on? Like, they're
I
just
just
like,
have
did
a
we just make a
vision.
new best friend? I'm
I
like,
just
yes,
have
you
a
did.
vision of Galen with socks off or with shoes off, sliding down the hall. Hey guys,
That's not that far off.
I
And like,
mean-
funny, the couple that I hit it off the best with, they bought the house. So
That's right.
I mean, I was just like chatting them up, and like they were like, "Oh, we're gonna go see another house." Like another house? Ooh, that sounds labor intensive.
That sounds
I was like,
lame.
You got to drive over there in a vehicle. Ooh, don't get me started on this traffic. I was like, but look. You're already home.
That's right.
I was like, you want me to make you something in this beautiful kitchen? And they're like, I was like, does someone need a shower? That monster shower? I mean, they were just like dying. We're just having a good time. And then she was just like, before she left, she's like, oh, I want this house. And he was like, well, we should go to the other. And she was like, take me to this other house. But I was like,
there's the teaser right there.
I talked to like James Nay the other day. I was like, you still got to let me do like one of your open houses. He was like, dude, you can do any of those. He was like, I like open houses. I'm like, it's got a lot of energy in there. It lets me work on my material that I like, a lot of stuff that are pent up in my brain as I drive. We spend a lot of time in cars, so a lot of alone time for Galen. So I'm like in the car, just like,
I think your real sales skills come out at open houses.
Oh, yeah.
Because you get the face-to-face time that you don't get right now with COVID at
Yep.
all. And yeah, if you don't sell, then you're going to be that weird agent that's like, oh, come in, look around, and just let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah, I don't like that.
And it's like, how likable is this person? Is this person really going to say, I'm going to buy a house from you when it's said and done? Like, when they leave, you want them to be like, I want to hang out with that guy again. How do I see him again?
That's the energy.
Here's the thing. The person's got to be like, well, it's going to be weird if I just called him to hang out. But if I called him to buy a house.
So like, let's talk more about that house. Like, I hit it off crazy with the neighbors that they were like, they're putting input into like who they wanted. They're like, could you get us a fun neighbor? And I'm like, the fact that you're trusting my own judgment as what is fun, I'm like, well, you already trust me.
That's right.
And I was like, all right, I'll see what I can do. I was like, fun neighbor. I'll put a scale on there. So
we just need to hang out. That's all we're trying to get to.
The husband that came, he was taking pictures out on his phone, like showing me like blueprints of his own house and stuff, asking for my input. I'm like, we really got close over that 20 minutes of them being there. So
that's awesome.
I've got some marketing stuff working. If Studio 77 could ever make time for a small guy like me to for my open houses, should be good.
Let's see, where are we at? Well, I think it's time for deep dive. Do we do it? Anything else?
I'm already frozen.
All right, sorry, he's already paused. Deep dive.
This is for you, Galen.
Say feel. We gon' shake up this place. Say pick up that pace. Yeah, we got no time to. Everybody say feel that bass.
Is Mike cutting? Are you just buying these off of sound? Like, where are these coming from? Do you have a membership?
No, man, I make these.
Are you really playing bass? No, you're not. No, you're not playing that bass.
I don't know what's happening, but I love it. Our transitions are 30 minutes long. It's like Mike's got a CD coming out.
That's right. He's like, could I get your soundtrack? I just want to listen to the in-betweens. Can we skip the words?
We don't got that bass.
Let's just skip all the words. So today's deep dive is what's changed and what hasn't with COVID over the last 10 months.
COVID.
I think one of our first podcasts we did was like a COVID podcast.
The Rona.
Yeah, what's happening right this second.
Right.
But obviously, despite how bad things are still getting with winter coming along, obviously the numbers are rising. For the most part,
my goodness, yeah,
we went back to normal business as usual.
Maybe we're the reason.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Quickly, yeah, don't say that.
Yeah.
But overall, like, we've had a better sales year than we've ever had.
I feel super busy. I'm meeting lots of clients. We're putting stuff under contract. As I told you before, I'm feeling tired. Finally, it's like, like my phone rings. I'm like, okay, here we go. We're gonna let's start to dazzle them. Let's get hey, how you doing, Galen? So no, it's some things are ramping up to a fever pitch.
Yeah,
I just wanted to bring that word in there.
That's cool for throwing that in there. So here's the thing. We know we're busy again. We know sales are great. We know rates are great, right? I mean, interest rates are low, values are up, but let's talk about what has changed since we first hit COVID. I mean, because let's be real. When COVID first hit, things shut down for a solid
2 months,
30 days, 60 days. Yeah. I mean, we went on full lockdown. And the issue is that people didn't know how to do business in the state of the conditions that we were in. So it's not that we don't still live with this COVID nightmare, but the thing was, counties didn't know, how do we record deeds? How do we approve home permit inspections, right?
Yeah.
Closers said, how do we have people close on houses while this is happening? Banks said, how do we move forward with this? Should we move forward?
What do we do with
right?
money?
Yeah, so for 60 days, there was a lot of figuring it out before things went back to normal. But because of that, some people made some changes. So first thing that changed back then, and we'll talk about if it's back to normal, lending guidelines.
Okay.
So one of the things was credit scores changed with FHA loans. It used to be that if you had a minimum of 620, you were good. A lot of the lenders raised that to 660. That threw a lot of people off because if they were pre-approved with like a 640 score, 650 score, then they now could not buy a house. Their pre-approvals were no longer. So there was people scrambling to get pre-approved.
I had a lot of people who were like, they're like, oh, I'm pre-approved for this number. I'm like, you got to be like the bearer of bad news and be like, man, that's great. I'm so glad you did this hard work and you're working to pay off your debt and all this stuff. But
yeah, I had multiples like that.
We're going to need 20 to 25 more points out of you.
Yeah.
Come on, champ. You got it.
We had issues with that. And then VHGA actually completely locked down for a very short time. It was very quick. But VHGA, even for loans that were through underwriting and clear to close, they were like, we're not going to fund them. There were certain banks that were like, we don't care. We're not going to let you buy a house.
I was like right in the middle of that. Like she was like ready, and then like we were like, what in the world are we doing? I was like talking like 3 different lenders. I'm like, does anyone got anything? And we got it worked out, but that was very stressful for her and me, because I'm just like, man, this lady, she's been like looking. I've told her, you got to save up. She had followed all of the things that she was supposed to do. Yeah. And then Corona hit, and like I'd been working with her since like the end of the year before. So, I told her that you got to put a 6-month hold on it. And she was like excited, and I was like,
yeah.
So
jumbo loans, a lot of people pulled the plug on jumbos for a bit, but now we look 10 months later.
Give me that jumbo.
What's the state of lending now? Galen?
I don't want to say everything's back to normal, but I think it's
better than normal, people. Yeah, it's better than normal.
Better than normal. Like I feel like a lot of like the mortgage people, like I feel like sometimes I'm stressed out. They're very stressed out.
Yeah, we'll get to the load management in a minute, because I think that's a whole nother subject in itself. That's going to go on our list. But for the most part,
write that on the list.
when you look at lending, everything opened back up. Rates actually went down even more.
Right.
Historic lows. You can get 2.65 on a 30-year. As of today, I don't know where it'll be. Obviously,
I had a client last week. I saw 2.75 come through.
It's insane.
I was like, ooh.
That's insane. I bought my last house at 3.25 7 years ago, and that was the record low of history.
And we felt so good about it too. I'm like, oh yeah, look at all the hard work it did. And like now people are just like, oh yeah, 2.75. We're like, what?
Everybody. I'm like, should I refinance it from 3.25?
Like, I was even that good with my credit. I just it's like, oh man, okay.
I was 23 at the time. Yeah, it was. But at the end of the day, like I could consider refinancing if things go down another quarter point, half point, whatever. I mean, if you get any lower in the twos, it's almost worth.
I do not want to move, so I'm going to be in the.
I've thought about going to a 15-year just because that's even lower. I think that's
unless we both decide to move and then we move to like a big house together.
Okay, deal.
All right, got it.
Dealsies. I'm in.
Actually, that's not. It's funny. People like laugh. They probably hear that and they're like, I'm like, that's not that far off from happening. It's like it would take very little convincing of our wives to be able to get us to do that.
Kat would be like, sweet. I'd be able to handle everything with both of y'all there all the time. All the work would get done. Dinner. Can you imagine how good dinner would be all the time? Kat and Jackie could just swap off.
800-pound Galen and Jared just rolling into the house.
I know.
It's like, what do you guys do? Well, we got a 5-course meal waiting for us at home. So
oh
no,
my
we're not
God, we go back to playing Super
hour.
Smash Brothers again.
Ooh, daddy likey. Very nice.
So lending's back.
Speaking of jumbos,
at the end of the day. So lending is back. We're good on that. Inventory.
Right. Okay.
10 months ago, were we in a seller's market?
No.
I disagree. I think we've been in a seller's market solidly for the past 24 to 36 months.
Well, we are.
You
such
give me
an
your
extreme,
opinion, and then I'm going to give you the metric.
Here's such extreme. Like right now, like before, I feel like it was two offers on a house. That's the seller market. It's like 2 offers on a house. That was not unheard of. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Now it's like, hey, we got 15 offers.
So now it's like you said, it's like a riot to get a house. Yeah, there's a difference. But
so, it was good. So I think, okay, yeah, we're in seller's market, but it's just nothing like this.
No.
This is not a seller's market. This is like sellers, I don't even know what you call it, just totalitarian rule.
So here's the thing. Any amount of inventory under a 3-month supply. So if you stopped listing houses tomorrow and you just waited till they ran out, if it would take 3 months for those houses to sell or less, that's a seller's market, right? So as the inventory gets higher than that, then you can start to maybe shift into a buyer's market. Hey, we got more inventory out there. There's more sellers than buyers. We can start to make, not to lowball offers, but we're not having to like bid with 15 other offers. You know what I mean? We can get what we want. Maybe we'll get some closing costs again. That sounds cool, right? That? I remember closing costs. Yeah. Nowadays, okay, so 3 months, that's been like that for a solid, I'm going to say the last 2 years. I mean, the last 2 years have been strong from that instance. You never listed a house and said, well, this is going to be a problem selling. But now, from what I saw the other day, I think we're at less than a 1 month supply of real estate. So that means if they stopped listing things within a month, we would just run out.
We're
So
on.
when you look at new construction now, obviously you see it's blowing up because they can't build the houses fast enough. And for the selling side of things, yes, you're right. It has turned into a madhouse. If you're dealing with a seller, you are so happy because you know you're going to put this house up and you're going to be sitting on offers. Now, I will say we're filming this podcast right now going into Thanksgiving into December.
Right.
I've had a couple rumblings of people saying, hey, did it slow down a little for you? Has it been a little slower? And I've seen that with some agents, but I think it's just the normal time of year of, hey, give it the week so that they can eat their turkey. And then by next week, it'll be crazy again.
Sure.
Let them shop on Friday. I don't think we're going to see the winter slowdown.
I don't think so either.
That we used to, because the inventory is so low. If it used to be, if you were a buyer, you would wait maybe to the winter because there would be less buyers out there, and then that would let you maybe get a better deal. And if you were a seller, you maybe wanted to wait to spring so that
We would say like, well, you might hold, if you could.
it's January. Why don't you just wait a month and we'll list you into the start of March or whatever, and maybe we'll get better reception. That is not the case. I think we're going to run fully through winter, and I think if you want to list your house, list it, because
I would agree with
we're
that.
still flipping fully. We listed Smoke Tree, we sold it for over ass. We've got the one in Lakeside we're flipping now. That one's probably going to go to market in January if I had to guess. And I'm
Nice.
totally cool with that.
Winter open house.
Love
I love
it.
it. I'll have a slim snowball fight in the front yard.
Yeah, so inventory, that has been a 10-month change. It was low, now it's lower,
Yep.
and I don't see that changing into 2021. So
And I've
people-
got like some clients that I feel bad for them because I don't feel bad for them because you didn't listen to me in the first place. But there's certain people, they're not yet clients, but they're just people who have.
he feels bad but spiteful.
They're not clients. They're just people who have come into my circle of sphere, and they're like, "Hey, we're just gonna hold off until it cools down a little bit." And I'm like,
And you're like,
I was like, I don't like enjoy your apartment. I don't foresee that happening.
can we just do a sidestep on that?
Sidestepping it.
I know it gets off subject, but for everybody that wants to wait, rates are lower than they've ever been in the history of mankind.
You're waiting for the only thing you're waiting for them to rise.
And here's the thing. Could values plummet at some point? Could they go back down? Sure. Everything runs in cycles. When you think about economies in general,
Yeah.
you always have like a 7 to 8 year cycle. It can't stay good forever. And there's nothing wrong with some pullback. But here's the thing. If you're looking at a $300,000 house and you say, well, I'm going to wait for the values to go down because I don't want it to be worth $265 and lose $35,000, hear me out. If you loaned $35,000 out right now, that $35,000 is going to cost you about $180, $190 a month. But if rates go from 2.65 back up to 5 or 6%, it's going to cost you $500, $600, $700 a month. So in order to save maybe a little bit of equity, you're going to blow your mortgage up and your payment up, and now you're not looking for $265,000, $300,000 houses. Now you're looking at $200,000 houses.
Yeah.
You're going to cut your equity down. So if you're looking to move,
I've been telling people
take advantage.
There's some people who are just like really insistent because they're just like, well, I just know some time passed, and I just think it's like you're not the only person thinking that. So I was like, there's also now going to be a bottleneck of people who just think that they can wait, and I'm like, so you're going to be competing against those people.
Yeah.
And I was like, in addition to the people who are just coming on the market, I said, so there's no time like the present.
That's right.
I like it.
10 months ago, were you at every closing that you could get in?
Oh yeah.
Every time, right? We were always there. We had our gifts and our keys, and it was the happy congratulations
I
moment.
loved closing because it's just like you didn't really have to do that much work because you've
You
got
mean
a
you did
good
no work.
Yeah,
You
he
sit
was
there.
talking
You
and
sit.
he was like congratulating, especially your like closer. He was like, and your agent did a great job there, and I'm just sitting there like, yeah. Then I got like a gift,
That's
and
me.
I'm like, I'm ready to give a gift.
Kissing
I'm like,
babies.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel so
Yeah.
powerful. I'm like, hey, I'm here for the happiest moment. Now it's like, what is it like now?
So with this second wave coming in,
Mike just got to cut in.
I'm just
cut in
I've been
before we
trying to
answer.
guide
Producer
them.
break.
I know. We'll cut.
This
He can
second-
edit himself out
I'm gonna
later.
read some ad copy from
Hey, Mike,
Mike.
can you edit yourself out later?
Yeah.
Canada Dry.
Go ahead, Mike.
I'm kidding with you,
No,
Mikey,
the
baby.
second wave coming in, new guidelines being a little stricter. I mean, California is like still on total lockdown. You can't do anything there. I mean, do you think that's kind
As
of
they should be.
Do you think it's down the pipeline that could be that way?
No, we're essential business. So essential business is going to stay in some capacity. And again, what we realized 10 months ago is that 2-month shutdown was really 2 months for them to figure out this is how you can put in permits without anybody being down in the city or in the county. This is how your inspections take place. This is how we close. This is how we do things remote, right?
That 2 months to me was a great education for like all of us. And so now it's like it'll never go back to, because we learned what to do now. It's like now it's like I don't have to discover Zoom.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, we can't meet here. Here's the link. I crowned myself Zoom King of 2020.
Yeah.
And 2021. I said it in Midlothian, Virginia.
That's right.
Zoom is always like a funny thing to me, and I don't know why. This is remember Jared just said sidestep, and this is definitely a sidestep. But no one that I know, no one that I'm friends with, picks their nose in public. Or probably at home, right? For the most part.
Do people just literally forget they're on camera?
But sometimes it's funny to like, and it's like I see it, and I'm like, do they know I can see them? And now it's made me super conscious, and it's like I'm now super subconscious about something that I wouldn't have done anyways.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, don't want to pick my nose. I'm like, I wasn't going to do that anyways. But it's like now it's like with Zoom, it's like it's always on. It's like, oh my goodness. But
That's a telltale sign that they also don't have their Zoom up on the screen. They definitely have like a browser. They're
That is
they're
always
not
funny.
looking at the meeting, and that's when they start picking their nose
I'm like
or doing
talking.
something stupid.
I can talk, and people are like,
And then they're like, "Wait, is my camera on?" And that's when they hit the Zoom, and then
I'm like, you're on
mortified.
Facebook right now, so
Live.
we can tell.
There's 1,200 people
I'm
watching
trying,
this.
I'm trying to tell you how to handle business and stuff. But we were in a great Zoom for EXP like a couple weeks ago, and I love when you have thousands of people. And he was like, "All right, we're going to do something fun now. We're going to unmute everyone."
Oh, God.
And like the bandwidth, that was like, I literally heard the internet cry. It was just like, "Stop, help me!" And I was like, "That is incredible."
And what's funny is, EXP, obviously, you got all ranges of agents, so you got 3,000 agents in on that one meeting, and there's still obviously the people that don't get the tech, and they're like, can y'all hear me? Right? Can y'all hear me? And you're like, we're in an auditorium of 3,000 people online. It's literally
We've
like
got one of the sharks from Shark Tank.
yeah, Robert Herjavec is there, and it's like Bernadette comes up on the thing and is like, "Hey, can I take
Hello?
his mic? Hey, can you Robert,
hear
hold
me?
on, am I good? Can you,
Robbie, I love you. I love your show.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. Mute. And then I'm like, why are they not muted? And they're like, all right. They're like, hey, we're going to get everyone to mute themselves. I'm like, no.
You're like,
there
all right,
should be
all
a
right,
moderator
all right,
who's
I
hitting
get
the button.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
I've got a question. Like, are you really about to ask the shark a question that's probably only pertinent to you right now? And I'm like, oh my goodness. But that was amazing. Great Zoom.
So closings, we obviously stopped
Closings
going
now,
to closings.
I'm looking through the window like a cat burglar. I'm just like,
yeah.
you guys good? And then I'm like leaving, the gift at Underscore Places. I'm leaving him in the house.
We were actually closing at the house, or we were closing at our office too. That was like the best thing to happen to me pre-COVID, was not having to actually go to a closing office. They would just come to us, and that got shut down too. So that's been like my biggest issue.
Yeah.
I don't mind not going to closing. It saves us, 150 hours a year right now, so that's cool. But
it's nice to put a bow on top of a gift. It's kind of like that last hey.
Yeah, so now it's
Be
like
free.
final walkthrough, and you're like, all right, bye. Hope it
Yeah,
goes
no, it's
good.
like it feels like unfinished. I'm like, here, so like I go to the walkthrough.
And it's like, let me know once you bought a house.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, so is it good? I'm like, I'm gonna leave this gift here. We're good. And like, text me when. And like, I never get the text.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, text me when you close. They're like, yeah, sure. Then like 8 hours go by. I'm like,
Forgot about you already.
hello? Because they're super excited that they just bought a house.
They're thrashed on all the beer and champagne
that
you
I
bought
gave
them in their closing gift.
They just
Yeah.
chugged all the champagne. Champagne, yeah. So,
It's crackling a little bit.
Is it? How do we fix this?
we got some mic defects.
Don't touch anything, so just hands. We'll do like the Will
I don't know
Ferrell
what to do.
thing. All right, how's this mic? This is the.
Hey, you
this is
guys
the
who are
studio-
watching this, is this good?
Yeah, this is the
Does
studio.
this seem natural?
This is Studio 77's.
I think my son is the one that used that mic, and he might have pulled the cable a little
Oh,
bit too
cool.
much. So.
Studio 77. Just
How much are you charging for that, Mike? So showing. All right,
just
so
tell
we
him
got.
to on order another one on Amazon. He knows how to do that. At
Yeah,
this
he's got
point.
the password.
Yes, he does.
All right, so what's the next thing? So we talked about closings, we talked about loans, we talked about Galen being the Zoom king of 2020 and 2021.
I think one of the last factors is what you talked about earlier, and that is slowdowns and bottlenecks.
Yep,
So
for sure.
10 months ago, pre-COVID, I'm just going to answer this myself. I would say we're closing smooth, and I would say that very much depends on who's closing you, because at the end of the day, they were terrible lenders before COVID. They were terrible lawyers. They were terrible title companies, and God, were they terrible realtors. So it was almost like a gamble. Every single deal's a roulette spin, and you're like hoping this goes smooth. But now everything has been magnified. Unfortunately, I think 10 months into COVID, and because of the demand and because of the inventory shortage and how much is happening, I think people are so inundated. I'm seeing good agents slash lenders slash title companies slash lawyers become not so good.
Okay. All right.
That's my take.
I like the gauntlet that you just dropped.
I mean, I hate to say it, and everybody's guilty. Like I'm probably slower to get back to people on certain things because I have to prioritize everything that's going on.
Yeah, it is tough. I know exactly. There's a lender. I just looked the other day, so I asked him a question, and he said, "Let me check. Let me get right back to you." And that was last Tuesday.
And then nothing.
I have not heard anything back from. Thankfully, it wasn't like something like super pressing, or I would have gone nuclear. But I was like, man, this is. I haven't heard back from him.
It was one of ours.
Well, this is awkward. So we all get stressed out.
I will make a live call on this podcast right now. Who are we putting on speed? Who are we putting on blast?
We have not responded yet, and so it's like I get it, but we do have to kind of. That can't go on forever.
No.
Everyone's got to get better. We've got to focus on how to overcome bottlenecks. Usually get circumvented.
So this is for you lenders, lawyers, title companies, realtors,
Candlestick makers.
prepare to lose business at some point when things slow down due to your negligence. I mean, at the end of the day, like, I hate to say it, but everybody right now is just kind of like, I don't care. Business is awesome, right? I mean, everybody. This goes for the contractors, too. I mean, I got contractors that don't do repair work anymore because they're like, we're too busy with our full big jobs. We can't fit in this. But there are people that, no offense, I've given them 40, 50, 60 jobs over the last 12 months. So, sometimes you're like, listen, I'm not like a one-off. We have literally funneled you dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of jobs. You can't just say, like, I'm too busy to help at this point. Like, you have to figure something out. So that's
fix the thing you did.
Yeah. So that's where I say, like, we have to learn to adapt. If we don't learn to adapt in the busyness, it's going to be a big issue. Because same thing for lenders. If we send
pressure burst pipes, man.
Yeah. If we give somebody a lender lead to say, hey, you got to get this person pre-approved, they're ready to buy a house, and you don't call them, or you call them once and forget about them, then guess what? Galen's not going to want to refer you the next time because he realized that you didn't get the last person pre-approved. And when your closing gets delayed because they're like, sorry, we have too much on the table, hey, at some point we're probably going to pull closings. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
I know it's kind of a morbid podcast subject, right?
Yeah.
But like, that is the fact of 10 months into COVID, is the fact that everyone's so busy, people are almost like, we'll get to it when we get to it. And so if you're a consumer, make sure you're literally dealing with the best and that they're on it, because otherwise you could be getting delayed just because someone's like, we'll do it when we do it.
Yeah, I've been seeing, like, I saw a couple of listings the other day, and it says they wanted a pre-approval from a local lender because
all the big ones are nightmares right now.
Yeah, they're like, well, if I use like a something loans that I've got burned with twice this year, it's like you're just calling a number.
Let's call them out, bro. You can just throw them out.
You're calling a number where no one answers. You're saying an email, and it's like, so-and-so's not in the office. Please forward to my team backups. And like, no one responds, and you're just like, wow, this is a nightmare. Thankfully, like, I can tell my client, I'm like, hey, you didn't listen to me, and we went with these people. If you would have listened to me, we would have been my local guy.
I'm going to be real.
Just showed up at his house. It was that big of an issue.
I will never apologize when it goes that route. I am the king of pettiness when if I've told you like 4 people to use for this deal to run smooth, and you choose 4 different people and it goes off the rails.
.com
because you're the first person. I'm the first person they call, because then they're like, what can you do to fix it? I'm like, nothing. I can't.
I can wait.
You literally didn't listen to anything. Right when you asked earlier, Mike, about the advice, aren't you the advisor? Yes, sometimes. And then other times they're like, yeah, but my Aunt Stacy really said this person was
She
cool.
had a great experience 2 years ago with them.
Yeah.
I'm like, I bet she did. Was it their COVID right now? I'm like,
Yeah, so I have no problem being like,
Wicked loans.
I can't do anything.
It
Yeah.
rhymes with.
Yeah,
sounds
Wicked.
like
I actually have not had too many issues with Quicken this year.
I got
Loan Depot,
roasted
terrible
this year.
What's the veterans one? Wasn't there like, I know your wife wants to she was going AWOL on one of the Veterans
it's funny.
United or something
it was like one
that.
of those where she was just like, she came in my office.
They just didn't order the appraisal. We
And she
were
was
a
just
day
like-
from closing, and they never ordered the appraisal. How does an underwriter not catch that there's no appraisal a day from closing?
And it's funny because like she'll show you like the sent emails from like 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, where she's like, "Hey, you got their appraisal? Anything on the appraisal?" And
Yeah.
like no response, and they're just like, "Oh no, I don't know how we missed this." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. We like harassed you.
We don't
about
know
it."
either.
It's like, we
Yeah.
literally asked you several times, but yeah, but I agree. Things have to balance out. Whether it's you get an assistant. There's people looking for work. Hire assistant for part-time and just have them like cycle through your stuff. You might have to do that, or you're going to be, you too will be looking for work. So.
Yeah, if you can't scale, don't take the business. I think that's the problem. People are thinking, oh, I can do double what I did last year with the same amount of staff and the same amount of turnaround, and it just doesn't work anymore. The appraisers, same thing. Appraisers are getting 15 plus days to turn around appraisals, and then the lenders don't order appraisal until you're 10 days out from closing, and the appraiser's like, I'm not going to speed up. Like,
Yeah.
our timetable. You just didn't listen to the contract.
I got a deal right now where like the other agents, like every 4 days or every 3 days, he's like, "Has it been ordered? Has it this?" And I'm just like, man, this is really annoying. But, I get it. So I've been like, hey, I respond to him. Yep, it's been ordered. The report's not back yet. It's like, at least when he asked for reports back, I knew that they actually done the appraisal because they have to like contact him. But there's a lot of things with COVID. There's a lot of funny things with COVID that I have been amused by.
Yeah.
I was reading something the other day. I wrote it down. It says, "We are offering a clean and safe environment for you."
Who
It was like a
that?
company. They were just like talking about like their COVID protocols, and
Okay.
I'm like, what were they offering before this? And I was like, if now they're offering a clean and safe,
dirty and
like,
dangerous.
a dirty and dangerous environment for you. And I was like, shouldn't they have always been offering me
Clean
this?
and-
At the very, those are like minimum things, like clean and
and
safe. It's not like you've done so much. It's like clean and safe. That's
good.
the lowest bar.
That's right.
That I've set for you. It's like it's clean and it's safe.
That's right.
I'm like, is it a good place? No, I didn't say that. I said it was safe.
Yeah.
Like you won't get scabies. So
You may not
you
get
won't get
COVID.
legionnaires if you
That's
go
right.
inside now. But I was like, all right. But so now I tell people like, hey, I'm offering you a clean and safe showing.
That's right.
I'm like, whatever that means to you.
Exactly.
It's like Black Friday's coming up. 2 days. You got any big plans?
Well, considering PS5s are impossible to get,
I'm so sorry,
I'm going to
buddy.
say no.
I'm so. If I
That's
could
the only
find,
thing that I-
literally,
that's
if I
like the
could
only thing I
find a
would buy.
PS5 for you, I would buy it for you.
My wife would
just
too.
just because I want you to have
She
it. It
spent-
means way more to you. And I know your wife's like, she's like checking all the websites. She's got like timers.
She like
and,
reactivated Twitter so she could follow all the PS5 release tweets that come
Yeah.
out. I mean, she's on it.
That's a wife.
Yeah. Oh,
mean,
she's
she's on top
on
of
it
it.
way better than I
Well,
am.
that's because you are a hard person to buy a gift for.
Why?
Because you get everything you want.
It's like, I didn't want to like say it like that, Mike, but I was just like,
No, because I'm guilty.
you can
of
tell
that
the
too.
Nate the watch story. Nate is a guy I've known for 10 years. He's an agent, or he's not a news agent, but he came onto our team. Very happy. The guy's a shark. He's a
awesome.
monster.
Nate,
Killing it.
I hope you listen to this. You're incredible.
He is awesome. Love that guy. Great personality. So one day, out of the night, he's like, "Hey, Galen, you know what? I want to get Jared a nice gift. I really just appreciate everything he's done for me." And I'm like, "All right, sure. What do you?" He's like, "You've known him for a couple years." I'm like, "Most of his adult life, yeah, I know." They're like, I was thinking about getting him a watch. And I like immediately started like laughing. I was like, "You're gonna get him a watch?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Listen, for what it's worth," I was like, "Jared's got like a series of Rolexes. I don't know if you're buying him a watch. It's the best."
You
That's
should
like me
have told
coming-
him. You should have told him he likes a good Casio.
And I was like trying to say it in like the nicest way, thankfully I've got a relationship with Nate where I'm like, listen, that's not it's like me coming like, you know what, Mike, I'm gonna get Jared a nice Hyundai, something real good. I'm like, like a car guy. He's gonna be like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm like, just letting you know I'm thinking of you, buddy. It's like
I took Nate to dinner and I laughed so hard at that story. I was like, I
I
appreciate
never even told you too. Nate told you.
Yeah. So then I told you, but Nate's the one that brought it up to me, and I just said, "Man, I appreciate you even thinking about getting me a gift, but the fact that you just roasted the watch." I mean, I was like, "It's true." Like, even, I don't care if it had, like, he was like, something with like maybe your mom, like custom, like maybe the Davis Group, and I was like, "Dude, the thought is awesome,
Wonderful thought."
But you nailed it. You were just like
send him the schematics of what it would look like, but don't buy the thing for him. What about you, Mike? What Black Friday thing you getting? Probably a baby monitor, something baby like
Jared.
diapers.
Whenever comes around, I'll get what I want.
He just buys it.
Some diapers.
You got like
Techie
180
wise-
drones.
No, like I usually around this year, I usually treat myself with a guitar.
Guitar.
I
Yeah,
got
some
you.
kind of guitar or something like that. So, but I don't know. I mean, the stores are not opening up, so you can't really go anywhere that day.
Cyber Monday.
Yeah, I just want a
So-
PS5, and I don't need it. I think like whenever I could get it next year, like on the
Sure.
shelf, I'll just go buy it when I can. I
Sure.
don't need it, but my wife is determined. She's like, "You're getting it before the end of
I
the year."
love
It's like, all right.
I love looking at like the Black Friday. I call them unrealistic ads because
Okay.
it's like from car dealerships. They're like coming for our Black Friday sale. I'm like, no one's going to a car dealership for a Black Friday
Ugh.
sale. I'm like, I was like, that's terrible on any year.
I would
And
not
was
want to be
like,
a car salesman on Black Friday.
Yeah, and I'm like, and what's
Yeah.
the sale? Like, what could you have like was the first year's free? Like what Black Friday deal? Or I'm like, I feel like you guys are using this. That's like me. Like I'm offering Black Friday showings.
Yeah.
Come see a house to me, and I'll
try
give you
it, see what happens.
That's right.
Every house comes with a home warranty.
There
And I'm
you go.
like, that just seems like, I don't know. But
Yeah,
Let's
there's
read
not
some
much I
comments.
all right, some comments.
Oh,
so
so
we've got some comments. We wanted to tack that on the end.
Yeah, what do
By
we have?
we, Mike. Let me pull them. I like closed them out because I like touched my phone 80 times.
I don't know how you use your phone during the podcast. I can't keep mine here. I would just have a mental breakdown. I've heard it ring
He's
like
got
five times.
three devices over there.
My, and, like text messages are coming in. That's why I can like see them. I'm like, but like
I
I
would
feel
have
like
to
if I don't
pause.
stimulate my brain, I would just be like.
Nah, I'd have to pause if I had my
But
phone.
so
every
here's
seconds.
we got some food fight comments. One thing I would like to say is that thank you so much for your response. You guys are very, very opinionated when it comes to food fight. Almost to the point where you're like assaulting the restaurants. Like some people are like, this food's trash. But here's one I loved. It says, as a former New Yorker, cold pizza rating should definitely be a factor. We eat this stuff for breakfast. Thank you, Laurel.
Yeah.
I am a former New Yorker. I don't eat pizza for breakfast. Because,
Do you eat it cold for breakfast?
You know what? When I was in college,
Cold.
as an adult with an air fryer, one, if you're not putting your like old pizza in an air fryer, you ain't living right.
I don't have an air fryer.
That's an upgrade.
Oh, there you go.
That is
there you go, people. If you want to get
Jared,
a gift.
Jared's about to get like 19 air fryers. Jared doesn't have an air fryer. So that's a good one. I'm like, all right, cool. I just love the as a former New. That makes them the authority.
Yeah.
As a former New Yorker,
Somebody else was like, I looked at just looking at the crust on video, I know that pizza's trash. And I was like,
I
what?
was like, whoa,
like,
whoa.
How?
Here's
Okay.
a good one. He says you can't start with a top rating for 6 out of 6. Okay. Also, you should use the standard X out of 10 and have a better explanation on what a score of 10 would require. Okay, good. Example:
He went in.
flavorful and crispy crust, balance between the sauce and cheese. Toppings mask the flavor of the main ingredient, in my opinion. That said, I'll be watching for your other reviews.
I actually was very appreciative of that
I was
comment.
like, man, you really went.
it was deep. It
I
was
thought Mike,
concise.
like, I was like, is this like a fake Mike account? This seems like
Now that one was good because
Yeah, I was
some
like,
people
all right.
are just like angry, opinionated, or very happy, but there's no actual.
I can tell the pizza is
like-
trash just from this quick look at the crust. Just being honest.
Yeah, that's not constructive in any way, shape, or form. And
But here's the
it's
thing.
delicious. It's
Given that
delicious.
it's the internet, he had responses from other people, and it was like, "Well, you need glasses because this pie is excellent. Sergio's is excellent." And then one guy's like, "Your opinion." I can literally tell from looking at the video it would disappointment. And then guys like someone else responds, if you haven't tasted it, you're making a shallow and uninformed conclusion. Sergio's is excellent. I was just like, do we need to like lock this?
Isn't
Like,
it amazing how this one little idea that we had,
just pizza.
and
just
just
pizza.
pizza, has now has gone into this whole other.
I mean, we like it was very funny. But I love people though. I love like people taking the time out of their day. Jared's like, I hate people taking the time out of their day. Here's someone's message, and then like just saying, hey, let me give you my unsolicited opinion on this topic. That doesn't ever bother me. I'm like, yeah, Give me your unsolicited opinion all the time. I wish we could do that in the real world. Like, see someone walking down the street, like, hey, hate to stop you there, but like, that outfit is terrible. That tie, trash. Those shoes, ridiculous.
Then
But
you have someone else come up behind you and start making a
excuse
comment.
me, sir. Have you seen your shoes?
That's right.
And then it's like, immediately it'll go like political. That's
right. Are you wearing brown and black together?
Like, whoa.
The food
Hey,
fights
don't
have been
joke
good.
about that. Don't wear black and brown together.
That's what I said.
Don't do that. Even though I did like years ago, someone like in my office were like, "You can wear black with anything," and I was just like. And then sadly they sent me like a link to like some like Spiegel magazine where a guy was wearing it, and I was like, this is not good evidence. But don't do that. My belt matches my shoes.
That's it.
Color. That's all you need to do for men.
I'm gonna be real with you. I don't even like blue and black together.
I hate blue and black.
You
together.
can do it,
I think that's terrible.
but
Don't do that.
put some brown shoes on. Get your big boy pants on and go buy some
I feel
brown
like I
dress
look
shoes.
silly if I've got like blue jeans with like black shoes on. I'm
like when you're 0 to like.
I mean, when I wear it most of the day because they're comfortable.
Okay. Don't cry again, Mike.
what it would anywhere.
So at the end of the day, I mean, until you're like 14 or 15, like you just get like a cheap pair of black dress shoes if you needed dress shoes for your
Yep.
parents. And then after that, like hopefully you've learned, oh wait, I really never need black dress shoes. I should almost, I mean, do you ever wear black dress shoes hardly? I have a pair
The only time, and I rarely.
with a black suit.
Yeah, I was like with a black suit. I don't even wear them with gray. It's
I don't
like
either.
if I wear a
You
gray
can,
suit,
but I
I'm gonna
don't.
wear like still brown or wine, like something like that. Yeah.
Burgundy, bourbon.
I mean, we could talk about clothes forever.
No, could
I
I?
love that.
Oh, could I?
I remember like the first time I noticed where I was like, you know what, you shouldn't. I saw like someone that I knew was like an older guy, and he had like a blue suit on, and he had black shoes on. I was just like,
That doesn't look right.
and I was like, is that how I've been looking? But I was like 16, and I was like, never again. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, and I still have like all the suits that my mom bought me when she'd go to like the outlets where you'd like go. I don't know if they'd like camp out or what it was, but they'd always get the deal, right?
In Williamsburg?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I know exactly.
So-
S&K outlet.
So they were
Crushed that
SMK
place.
outlet, and my mom would always buy me suits when I was, I don't know, 11, 12 years old.
You still have the 11 or 12-year-old suits.
Yes, because here's the thing.
You haven't
My
grown.
mom obviously thought I was going to be an NFL linebacker when I grew up because she would always buy me.
grow into it.
Yes, she would always buy
I can
me
hear-
suits to grow into.
I can hear Mama Davis
And they
saying that right
don't
now.
fit me today. They're still too big. I was like, how did this not? This did not fit me at 11 or 12 because it doesn't fit me now.
And
It's
I can
still
see
bigger.
Billy like, I don't care. I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah, Dad's like, get me one too. I don't care.
Give me a cheeseburger and one of those suits.
That's hilarious.
All
Alrighty.
right.
Well,
Thank you, Cheryl and David, or Billy, for creating this.
Thank you for raising
this
me.
little cutie.
that's right. All right. I think that's it. What are we doing next time?
I was just thinking, I was like, did we say anything that's going to make our wives uncomfortable? Like,
I've praised my wife on this one.
the belly rub. Cat's like, could you never talk about belly rubs? I'm like, I never gave Jared a belly rub. It's like a joke. It's like, you never asked. It's like, we're belly rubbing each other. So,
Not yet. I'm trying.
what are we talking about next? Next, I think we're going to have a guest.
Oh, yeah.
If we
Okay.
can line that up, we've got to kind of work around her work schedule because she has a job. And
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
so we got to
Okay.
figure out
Perfect.
how to make that work.
That sounds good. Food fights. Give us more options of foods you want us to see. Mike's saying burgers. I like burgers. I also like
Someone told me
chicken
wings. Yeah, I was like, someone today was like, you guys need to do wings.
The problem is the best three are wooden iron, and flying pig, and they're all owned by the same company. So
it's probably still wooden iron. It's like flying pig sometimes can be like, I'm like, you guys know you're owned by the same
it's
company,
not
right?
as consistent.
Yeah, I was like, you guys are the same, so you should have this similar
It
product.
is very close to the house, though.
I like the weight stuff of wooden iron, just because they're friends of ours. So.
Yeah, that's true.
always nice.
All right. Well, if you have any housing questions, or if you're a realtor, you want to get into the business, you have brokerage questions, you want to be a part of a team, you want to learn how to market, whatever
See the world.
whatever you want, you can reach us at the Davis Group on Facebook, or you can do __ the Davis Group on Instagram, or you can call me at 804-536-6100. And Galen?
I feel like I've finally got to the point where I can be like Mark Horton and just say like, just Google Galen Parker and all
Yeah.
my stuff will come up now. But if you want to give me a call, the number is 804-274-9016. Galen at Central VA.
Pick up that pace.
bass master over here.
I think you got the last number
We
out.
got in there.
We'll see you next time. This has been RVA Real Estate.
Your mic cut out.
Yeah, it did.
It was like RVA. You got who's singing the bass?
This has
Who's
been
singing?
RVA Real Estate Talk. There you
Bass, bass, bass.
Yeah,
I like a girl with big bass.
go. That's Owen, yeah.
I was like, that's inappropriate.
If you have a real estate question that you would like to ask Jared or Galen, reach out to them at jared@centralvarealty.com or Galen@centralvarealty.com. Who knows, it may even be featured on an upcoming episode.